Good afternoon. I'm General der Panzertruppen Walter Kruget. The 58th Panzer Corps is composed of the 116th Panzer Division and the 560th Volksgrenadier Division. The 116th Panzer is in fair shape given the current conditions. The experienced commanders and staff will make up for the inexperience of the troops. The missing trucks and tractors are the worst problem. The 560th Volksgrenadier Division, however, is not in as good condition. The troops and most of the staff have no combat experience. Oberst or Colonel Rudolf Bader just entered hospital sick. The senior regiment commander, Oberst Rudolf Longhauser, is in command. Just as bad, nearly half of the division will not arrive for up to a week because of the overloaded rail system. The 116th is able to break through and capture the Ohr River crossings at Stuppach, Oberhausen, Welkenhausen, and Wevelder. The 560th is to break through and capture bridges at Uren and southeast of Kalburn. The 16th Panzer Regiment will cross first and cross the first bridge taken. Under my control, Panzeraufklärung Abteilung 116 will lead the Corps advance. The Führerbegleiter Brigade is the Corps Reserve under the 5th Panzer Army control. The Corps is to reach the Meuse River and establish a bridgehead in 1 to 2 days. OB West gave the order to start Unternehmen Herbstnehmen. The 116th first attacks failed. The second attack, reinforced by the 16th Panzer Regiment, gains no ground. The 560th is stopped at the edge of the Ohr River Bridge at Oren. The Kalburn-Ohr River Bridge is captured, but examination reveals it will require too much time to repair it. The 5th Panzer Army orders the Corps to cross the Ohr at Dasburg through the 47th Panzer Corps bridgehead, and I ordered Panzeraufklärung Abteilung 116 to make the crossing. The 560th Southern Element has reached Heinerscheid with the Division Advance Battalion heading for Binsfeld. I ordered the 116th Panzer Division to shift its attack south through the 560th and to take the Ohr Bridge. The 560 will cover the north flank of the attack. The Ohr River Bridge is captured, but is found to need 12 to 15 hours to repair it. By this time, Panzeraufklärung Abteilung 116 has crossed the Ohr River at Dausberg and destroyed an enemy tank column south of Fischbach, secured Heinerscheid, and is beyond Huberdange. I ordered the 116th Panzer Division to break the 116th Panzer to break off the action at Ohr and follow the Panzeraufklärung Division. The 560th Volksgrenadiers repairing the Ohr Bridge and advancing on Mont. With the 116 in the open, I returned the Panzeraufklärung to its control. At about 1600 hours, the 5th Panzer Army transferred the Führerbegleiter Brigade to the 66th Corps. The Panzeraufklärung reports it is in Visual and Hufvlies and is heavily occupied by enemy. The 116th main body, Panzer Group Bayer, is in the Uflingen-Asselborn-Binsfeld area and is refueling. The Panzeraufklärung is given a new route. Hufvlies will be captured later. At Tavigny, 2 groups of enemy vehicles ran into the Aufklärung, who destroyed 21 tanks, 6 recon vehicles, 3 anti-tank guns, and captured 98 troops of the US 9th Armored Division. The Aufklärung has fuel for 10 kilometers of movement, and the rest of the 116th only 20.
3rd Armored Division of Stolberg, Germany is ordered south. Combat Command A is sent to lift the German paratroopers in 5th Corps rear. Combat Command B to the 18th Airborne Corps to contain the German breakthrough, and my Combat Command Reserve to the vicinity of Hotton-The.
The 560th took Mont and is advancing Vibrin, Nadrin, Salbray. The Panzeraufklärung reached Bertone at 1520 and captured a fuel depot. The Ortho-Bertone Road bridge is found blown, so the Panzeraufklärung is ordered to Royampont with the rest of the division following. Panzer Group Bayer ran into a convoy of 60 enemy vehicles, capturing about 40 trucks and 500 troops. In the evening, Hufvlies is observed to be free of enemy, so Kampfgruppe Zander is ordered to turn around and attack the La Roche, while Kampfgruppe Rollman sets up a defense south of Hufvlies. The Panzeraufklärung found the One Point Bridge badly damaged and continued to the Marche-Bastogne Road to go off Champlot, then La Roche or Marche. The 116th plans to march all night. At 23:50, I ordered the 116th not to go too far past the Corps' south boundary.
At 18:30, 3rd Armored Division moves out. The roads are icy and there's fog in spots. 2 M4 medium tanks slide off the icy road and are lost. At 2200 hours, Combat Command Reserve reaches Vervey. The only light has been the eerie flicker of buzz bomb exhaust. Occasionally, a buzz bomb motor would cut out and land in the proximity of our column. Beyond I will, the route is a bit vague. We don't know where the Germans are. At checkpoints, we get rumors of Germans in American MP uniform directing columns astray. At 8:55, I arrive at Hotton after a 60-mile, 15-hour road march. Damp fog covers the area. In 15 minutes, General Rose orders CCR to cover the deployment of 7th Corps, to advance in zone, destroying all enemy encounters, and secure the road from Manhay to Hoffelise. The information on the enemy and friendly troops is 0. Task Force Kane is to take Manhay and Malumtray. Task Force Tucker has Ammonians, Doshan, and Samray, with Lieutenant Colonel Mike Yeomans along controlling all task forces. Task Force Hogan has La Roche to Hoffelise. Task Force Orr is in the reserve. Combat Command Reserve Headquarters will set up in Slough.
At about 0800 hours, I ordered the 116th Panzer to withdraw, thrust past Hoffelise, and cross the Somme-La Roche line for Novozo. Near Herbamont, the Panzer Aufklärung destroys an enemy convoy and reaches Orthville at 0820 hours. Following this report, the 116th Panzer orders its units to withdraw to Hoffelise. The 156th Panzer Grenadier Regiment will withdraw, followed by Panzergruppleiter with Panzer Aufklärung, securing the route back to Bertone, then follow us as the division reserve. The change in direction causes the troops considerable confusion and frustration after advancing so far against meager resistance. While waiting for Panzergruppleiter to turn around, the Panzer Aufklärung captures the Ourthe River Bridge intact at 10:30 hours. Kampfgruppe Xander reports La Roche occupied and 24 enemy tanks 1.5 kilometers to the west. The 560th Volksgrenadier on the Nadine-Samray Road are stopped by enemy troops and tanks on both sides of the Samray. The terrain around La Roche is easy to block. The Samray area is favorable for massing tanks. Around 1200 hours, I assigned the 116th Panzer to Road Bravo and the 560th Volksgrenadier Road Alpha. The enemy should evacuate La Roche if Samray and Doshan are taken.
Between 12:15 and 1300 hours, Task Force Tucker, Hogan, Kane, and Orr leave Hotton. At 14:25, I moved my headquarters to Slough. Approximately 14:30, Task Force Tucker meets an officer from 7th Armored Division asking for help because the Germans are attacking the depot in Samray.
At 1500 hours, a rocket barrage is laid on Samray. The 60th Panzer Grenadier Regiment attacks from the woods south of town. The 16th Panzer Regiment, with supporting self-propelled vehicles, attack along the Nadine-Samray Road. 4 Panzer IVs bypass the town to the west. The 2nd Battalion of the 60th Panzer Grenadier Regiment will block the road facing La Roche. 560th Volksgrenadier will cover the right flank. After a short fight, the enemy withdrew, and Panzergruppleiter's 15 Panthers, 6 Panzer IVs, and 2 Sturmgeschütz platoons, SPW Panzer Grenadier Battalion, and Artillery Battalion and Pioneer Company are ordered to seize Doshan, Beth, and the Soy-Hotton Road.
Task Force Tucker found Doshan occupied. 2nd Recon Platoon moved east toward Odain, and radio contact was lost. The main body engaged the enemy just north of Doshan, suffered heavy losses, and fought a delay back to Ammonians. 1st Recon Platoon with a Company H tank platoon bypassed to the west, proceeding to Samray where they ran into a strong enemy force. The crews had to abandon the tanks, climbed onto the armored cars, and escaped towards La Roche.
2 armored cars, followed by 6 tanks, entered the north edge of Samray. The tanks were destroyed by panzer fire. The crews climbed onto the ground and armored cars and escaped west. 3 more tanks approaching from La Roche were destroyed. A depot with 25,000 gallons of fuel, 15,000 rations and clothing were captured. This will replenish the fuel-starved 156th Panzer Grenadier Regiment and the 146th Artillery Regiment. The 2nd Battalion of the 60th Panzer Grenadier Regiment set up a roadblock near La Roche.
Task Force Kane reached Malin-Prey and set up roadblocks. Artillery unit is holding the Rocky-Frontier crossroad. Task Force Hogan passed abandoned 106th Infantry Division vehicles and heard battle noise to the east. At La Roche, they find more 7th Armored Division trains who report contact with Germans to the east. Hogan continued on a mile until felled trees blocked the road between the Earth River and very steep hills. When German fire set the lead tank aflame, the task force quelled for the night and Colonel Hogan was ordered to attend a meeting at CCR headquarters the next morning. At 2000 hours, 84th Infantry Division convoys start passing through Hotton on the way to March. Around 2100, a patrol captured 15 Germans southeast of Hotton. 2230 are ordered task force order to meet the enemy from Doshan. Just north of Lamoning, the Corps meets the elements of Task Force Tucker withdrawing. Absorbed them, it continues on to set up a roadblock about a mile northwest of Doshan.
The 560th Volksgrenadier is to take Erzay, while 1 regiment will stay east of Houffalize, guarding the Corps' flank. The 5th Panzer Army says the 2nd SS Panzer Korps will take over the area from Somme-Chanteau to Saint-Marais so that the 560th can move west. Panzer Group Bayer in Beth has sent recon to Mogastier, Way, and Trina-Melin. The Panzeraufklärung is to cover the division's left and right flanks, reconnoiter the woods between Saint-Marais and La Roche, and occupy La Roche if no fighting is required.
About 0100 hours, I assigned Task Force Kane to hold the Rocky Frontier. At 0430, there's a report from Hotton of vehicle noise to the south. This is the 84th Infantry Division moving into the Marsh-Hotton line. At 0550, a patrol on the way to Knee report being fired on by Germans and U.S. vehicles around the way. These Germans are cut off by Task Force Orr and Hogan and present no threat. At 0615, I ordered the 23rd Armored Engineer Battalion to send a patrol to check the way.
Panzer Group Bayer reports capturing an enemy infantry platoon in March Column, north of Way.
Task Force Kane reports the 2nd Recon Platoon of Task Force Tucker is in Frontier holding that position. Task Force Hogan reports Colonel Hogan on his way up to CCR headquarters missing after running into German troops on the Hotton Road. The Task Force Orr attack on Doshan and Saint-Marais at 0700 is stopped by intense small arms and tank fire.
Panzer Group Bayer captures Trinal and continues on. Bayer's Grenadiers enter eastern Hotton and take 2 POWs from a farmhouse. Our grenade explosions in the fight certainly alert the enemy. Hotton is reported to be heavily occupied.
General Rose relays a report of German artillery hitting Hotton. This has to be long-range artillery. I've not heard from the 23rd Engineer Patrol. The south end of Soie, I hear weapons noise. As the fog lifts, I spot vehicles turning onto the Hotton-Soie road. I report this to Headquarters 3rd Armored and is given the mission of defending Hotton. 23rd Engineers position a squad on the railroad embankment at the edge of the orchard. Park a bridge truck at the grain mill and a supply truck closer to the bridge as roadblocks. 7 German tanks, several other armored vehicles, and infantry exit the woods. 4 of the tanks with infantry enter the town. The lead Mark V pushed the bridge truck at the grain mill out of the way. The 40mm Vopers and 50 caliber machine guns and 37mm anti-tank gun opened fire. The Mark V continued on, turning its turret toward the fire, but the following infantry ran into buildings for cover. Unable to see where the fire is coming from, the following Mark V, 2 Mark IVs and the rest of the infantry turned north behind the buildings. The engineers on the embankment fire on the infantry who head into the buildings for cover. A M5 light and M4 medium tank that straggled in from the road march are sent to engage the Germans. The M5's crew bailed out upon seeing the Mark V's turret turning toward them. The Mark V shot set it aflame as the M4 drove out of the alley, fired, and bounced 2 rounds off the German front hull. The M5 shot, Mark 5 shot went through the M4. The Mark 5 next shot the supply truck blocked in the road, and there was a huge blast. The engineers forgot where they put their bulk explosives. 3 of the 16 37mm rounds fired at the Mark 5 hit the tank's wheels, and 1 jammed the turret. As the Mark 5 backed up, several bazookas fired and immobilized the tank. Around 1000 hours, it ordered the Armored Infantry Platoon, 2 medium tanks, and 2 light tanks at the roadblock in May to come to Hotton.
Oberleutnant Kol's Panzer V led 2 Panzer IVs north of buildings along the Rue Haute. As Kol crashed through the brick wall along the Rue des Écoles, he is hit by 2 rounds. Unable to locate the source of the fire, Kol reversed into the orchard, and the Panzer IVs did the same.
The 76mm armed M4 hit a Mark 5 that appeared on the Rue des Éclairs north of Rue Haute with 2 shots. The tank reversed out of sight. A soldier with a bazooka crossed the bridge and fired at the Mark 5 to flush it out. The tank appeared between 2 buildings and the M4 destroyed it. 2 Mark 4s withdrew east. The 23rd Engineers report the German attack has been stopped. Headquarters, 36th Armored Infantry Regiment, reports the situation still desperate. How can 2 officers 300 yards apart see the situation so differently? The infantry and tanks from Ney have arrived in Hotton. 6 23rd Engineer bridge trucks, 1 M4 tank, 1 M5 tank, and several other vehicles have been destroyed. At 13:10, I'm informed by 3rd Armored Division, elements of the 84th Infantry Division will relieve CCR in Hotton.
2 Panzer Vs, 1 self-propelled vehicle were destroyed, and several other tank commanders were wounded by headshots. With weak grenadier support, the attack halts, and the troops withdraw to the east edge of Hotton.
Task Force Kane on Doshan, attack on Doshan is stopped at Barak-Frontier and La Fosse. A recon platoon sets up a roadblock at Odang. The enemy infiltrated the woods west of Task Force Orr and up the draw to the east of the roadblock, making the position untenable. All units withdrew to Avonians. Around 1500, the last CCR uncommitted elements attacks from SWA and is stopped by the fire of 2 German tanks at the crossroads north of Mill Needs. The 51st Engineer Combat Battalion withdraws from Hotton except for half a squad left at the bridge to blow it up if necessary.
Enemy fire from SWA blocks the SWA-Hotton road during the day. Most of the 1st Battalion of the Panzer Grenadier Regiment 60 is facing SWA, and the 2nd Battalion is positioned near Verpin. The Panzer Grenadier Regiment 156 march to Hotton is delayed by clogged roads. As the 156 passes through the Somme depot, fuel canisters stacked along the road are thrown up onto the vehicles. Panzer Aufklärung attack on Amoni meets heavy resistance north and west of the town, swung east to Lambermenil to bypass the resistance, and is stopped again by heavy fire. In the afternoon, SPW Grenadiers advanced over Melen, Mole, and entered the forest east of Hotton, cutting the SWA-Hotton road and reaching the north edge of the forest. The 116th Panzer request for air support goes unanswered by the Luftwaffe. The 560th Volksgrenadiers lead comp group is on the south side of the Forge à l'Emploi, and trailing comp group has reached Broke de Fritscheur.
At 15:30 hours, all senior officers in Hotton meet to organize the defense. At 17:30, 15 infantrymen of the 84th Infantry Division arrive at Hotton with orders to stay south of the river. They have no information on the rest of the 84th.
The 5th Panzer Army ordered the Corps to bypass resistance and only cover the flanks. The bulk of forces are to advance toward the Meuse. Continuing to confuse, split up, surround, and reconnoiter in force and deceive the enemy. The 116th is to attack during the night to gain crossings over the Orth River. Despite the failure to take Hotton, the 58th Panzer Corps has made the farthest advance.
Task Force Orr reported a column of enemy vehicles struck Amoni from the south at 2200 hours. After losing 2 tanks and 9 armored cars, the Germans withdrew. The rest of the night, only enemy patrols were encountered. At 0400, I was called to 3rd Armored Division CP outside Van Hague. Unable to get the 84th Infantry Division to take over Hotton, General Rose planned a 2-pronged attack for 0900 to clear the SWA-Hotton depth area. Task Force Mays will attack west towards Hotton-The. Task Force Hogan will attack northwest to be making contact with Task Force Mays. Task Force Smithers will defend Hotton and support the attack by fire. 83rd Field Artillery Battalion is in direct support.
In the morning, the 560th Volksgrenadier relieved the Panzeraufklärung Abteilung 116 near Ammonese so they can move to Erzay through the Dobontal.
At 0730, 1st Battalion, the 517th Parachute Infantry Regiment Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Bill Boyle arrives at my command post. The first of the 517 is to seize Cade Heights Crossroads and clear the Swa-Hotton Road. His troops are hours away. At daylight, Task Force Kane attack on Doshan fails. The Task Force 4 attack on Doshan ran into an enemy column moving toward Moni and has to withdraw. The German patrol was spotted on the Swa-Hotton Road past the cemetery, while a Mark 5 moved along the embankment to the orchard and parked behind an apple tree. 3 M18s exchanged fire with the Mark 5 without success, then Mark 5 withdrew east. At 0900 hours, the Task Force Mays and the Hogan attacks jump off.
Oberfeldwebel-Pichler let the M4 tank leading the U.S. attack from Swa come very close to his Panther before destroying it. The 116th has no battle-worthy tanks in reserve. By 1200 hours, 6 new tanks arrive. 17 more are on the way, and 10 have been repaired and returned to duty. 2 repaired Panthers moved into the forest south of Milling and destroyed 4 more M4 tanks.
By 1200 hours, Task Force Mays lost 7 of 9 tanks stalling their attack. Task Force Hogan reports being stopped by enemy fire at the south edge of Deep, followed by a strong counterattack and ordered to hold in place. Once the Swa-Hotton Road is cleared, help will be sent. Task Force Hogan is low on gas and pulling back to the high ground at Marcaret. Task Force Orr reported a German column west of Lamoni moving north.
With the enemy attack stopped, Panzer Group Bayer turned back to Hotton. 5 Panthers moved up to the edge of the cemetery and 2 more behind the Verdun house, assembling for an attack. In the late afternoon, Panzeraufklärung Abteilung 116 joined the 560th Volksgrenadier Division attack on Ammonese.
Colonel Hogan walked into his Task Force Mallinckrodt position after being missing almost 30 hours. The 1400 Task Force Kane attack is stopped by intense fire. The west column secured the crossroads north of Lamor-Akim and around the town. A token force was in Lafos. A recon platoon, tank section, and some towed tank destroyers reinforced Baraki Torture. The east column set up all around the fence in Freynu. A little after 1500, the 84th Infantry Division's 3 M18 south of the river unsuccessfully engaged in Mark 5 near the Verdun house. After moving to the 23rd Engineers position on a bluff, the M18 volley fire destroyed 3 Mark 5s. 2 remaining tanks and a half-track and ammo carrier withdrew. At 1500, the first of the 517 starts arriving. At dusk, Task Force Orr reports the German attack along the Doshan Road and Hotton. Reports being attacked by German tanks and infantry.
With enemy fire blocking the east end of Hotton in daylight, the 2nd Battalion of Panzer Grenadier Regiment 156 attacks after dark, with Panzer Group Bayer panzers firing on the buildings. The North Group is repulsed. The 2nd Group reaches Rue de Écoles. The 3rd pushes west along the Rue Haute, taking a few more buildings.
The troops north of the schoolhouse withdraw to the railroad. Troops in the schoolhouse join the withdrawal and set up the fence along the tracks. The Germans occupied 2/3 of the buildings along the Rohat and all buildings north of the tracks.
Panzeraufklärung Abteilung 116 reported finding La Roche unoccupied, the bridge lightly damaged, and its scouts moving west. The lead elements of the 2nd SS Panzer Corps have relieved the 560th Volksgrenadier Division at Baroque-de-Freicher and further east. The 560th ordered those units to the Swa-Hotton area.
The Germans are stopped at the Hotton Railroad embankment and short of the bridge. Short 7 truckloads of troops. The first of the 517 crosses the line of departure at 2000 hours and are stopped after a 1,000-yard advance. The German counterattack by tanks and infantry is shot down, but more German tanks are hurt. Lieutenant Colonel Boyle canceled the attack, but I ordered the attack continued. General Rose insists we must shove this attack through tonight. A new plan is needed. Task Force Kane attacked on Doshan using 70 versus the 517 paratroopers. Advancing from Lemoyne fails.
By 02:15 hours, it is apparent that the attack on Hotton will fail. The 116th is ordered to break off the attack on Hotton and remain in place until relieved by the 560th Volksgrenadier. The firing in Hotton slows as the 116th withdraws to the forest east of the town.
About 0200 hours, Task Force Kane's paratroopers tried to take Doshan again and were immediately pinned down by German fire. At the same time, Lieutenant Colonel Boyle took 2 platoons of the 507th Infantry, 4 tanks, and 6 half-tracks to march to Hotton through Nye and attack back towards Swa, while the rest of the 517th under Major Frazier continued to attack toward Hotton from Swa. At 0230, Frazier's 517th Force advance is stopped by German fire and set up defense. At 0400, Boyle's 517th Force arrived in Hotton, turned east for Swa, only to be stopped by German fire.
The 5th Panzer Army ordered the Corps to take Der Bois, Sine line, and reports the weather will clear about noon of this day. About 1400 hours ordered the 116th to cross the Earth River at La Roche, occupy the heights south of Menil-Verdun, and break out east of March. The troops are near exhaustion from being on the move for 7 days. Losses to enemy fire have been light, but weather, terrain, and manufacturing sabotage have caused a high number of vehicle breakdowns. The Panzer Regiment only has about half of its tanks operational.
Task Force Kane hands off the Rocky Frontier at 1200 hours, but still had units on site when the Germans overran it at 1800. Odain was lost at 2000 hours. Malempre was evacuated about 2100. The Swa-Hotton road is cleared of Germans at 11:15 hours. Task Force Hogan was ordered to abandon his vehicles at dusk and marched into U.S. lines 14 hours later. Manhay was lost about midnight. Task Force Orr held Monings until relieved on 25 December. Freyneau was evacuated 2100 hours 26 December. Despite the failure to seize the Manhay-Hoffelese line and the loss of ground, 7th Corps was able to assemble and deploy to stop the German advance. This concludes our presentation.